Race drivers ready, let's keep it clean. Racing, sound the tone. All right, good start. Oh, that's a little bit of chaos there. All right, so Thomas Reynolds leading him around. Blake Bell, Stephen, Ed, Mark, Richard, Mark, Levy, Paul, Tyrell, Evan, and Shawn Felix, Shawn Duffy. Your leader down across the loop right now. Blake Bell in that 2 spot. It looks like it's going to be Steve up to the 3. Ed 4. Oh, Ed rolls it over. So Mark will go by for the 4. And now Richard putting the pressure on Ed for that top 4 position. That little left-hander after the sweeper there is a very challenging little corner. Those cars really want to grip and almost kind of lift. And you got to be careful. Finally got a chance to put a few laps in myself last night to get a feel for what some of the drivers are feeling. And that definitely was a tricky little corner. As your leader in that red, blue, and white across the loop right now. Shawn, you're in between a couple of leaders. Thank you. Ooh, Steve up and onto the concrete there. And that wasn't... So Thomas, Blake, and Mark here top 3. Steve and Ed top 5. Richard, Tyrell, Evan, Paul, and Mark Levy top 10. Shawn and Shawn 11 and 12. Oh, good racing right there between Steve and Tyrell. Those guys were battling it out pretty good. Tyrell, a nice little move to the inside. Oh, Richard slams it into the pipe. He'll let Tyrell go by. As we go back up front with your leaders here as they go into that tabletop. Blake Bell has caught him now as they go into the wall ride and up that right-hand section of the track. It's the red, blue, and white of Thomas Reynolds holding off the blue and fluorescent yellow of Blake Bell. Blake known for his on-road skill set, running the 4-wheel drive buggy like a touring car that flies through the air right now. As he works down that little drop down. Oh, gets a little squirrely, able to straighten it back out. So your leaders coming into that rhythm section once again. They'll be coming up on Evan soon. Leaders right there, Evan, thank you. Mark Starling sitting in 3rd. A little bit back, but maybe close enough if something should happen between 1 and 2 with about halfway down now. 3 down, 3 to go. 3 down, 3 to go as your leaders come down that drop down top to bottom. It's Thomas, Blake, Mark, Ed, and Tyrell, your top 5. Stephen, Paul, Richard, Evan, Mark, Shawn, and Shawn, the rest of the running order. Thank you, Richard. So your leaders continue to battle into that little staircase now up over the tabletop. Blue, or red, blue, and white of Thomas Reynolds, followed by the blue and fluorescent green of Blake Bell. Mark in the all green with the yellow wheels in that 3rd position. Now your leaders coming into the infield, coming up on behind Duffy. Duffy rolls it over. And so just be aware if leaders come up on you, please give a little bit of space for those guys to continue to be the race. Do not be the reason a main was decided. That's the only advice I can give you. Do not be the reason. Nice job, Shawn.
2 minutes left.
Way to work hard to dig there. That was a tough one. So 4 down, 2 to go. Thomas, Blake, and Mark still your top 3. Mark losing touch with those guys just a little bit. They are 4 seconds out in front of him. Blake right there with Thomas. He's got lots of time. Maybe just pacing Reynolds right now, waiting for an opening. As they go over that tabletop in the middle, up onto that wall ride. Down the drop down, your leaders have been running nice clean laps here. Oh, Blake with a mistake though over that big gap on the right hand side of the track. So Thomas going to get a little bit of breathing room now. And Mark going to be within 2 seconds of Blake now after that mistake. And then it's Tyrell in 4, Steve Healey 5, Ed, Paul, Richard, Mark, and Evan Milliard, your top 10. Then it's Shawn Felix, Shawn Duffy in the 11 and 12 right now. As Blake comes up on the back of Paul right now. So that is second place behind you, Paul. Thank you. So Blake has reeled in Thomas just a little bit. It's back to 1 second, and then a mistake out of Reynolds. Blake Bell by as they go into the rhythm section side by side. 10 seconds to go, one more lap. We stay up front with your leaders. Blake Bell now out in front of Thomas Reynolds. Reynolds trying to reel him in with 3 on the race clock. A couple more tricky seconds left to go as they go into the wall ride. Race them to the line. Ed and Richard, you are caught. Down into this side, into the rhythm one more time. Reynolds right on the back. He's trying to outside in. Makes the move on the final corner. What an outside in move there. Blake tried to block him in the rhythm section. Thomas dove to the inside. Reynolds will get the win by 1/10 of a second. Blake Bell goes 2, Starling 3, Steve, Tyrell, Paul, Ed, Evan, Mark, and Richard, your top 10, followed by Felix and Duffy. What a finish to open 4 mod right there in the end.